Now, I've been to Colombia 4 times, beginning in 2001. And on each trip I've made it a point to visit IDP communities. Some on the outskirts of Bogota, some out in regions far, far away from the central capital. Sometimes these communities were receiving U.S., NGO, and United Nations aid in the form of food, education, and child survival programs. Sometimes they were receiving little to nothing, with local churches and Colombian NGOs struggling to provide resources to these forgotten people. In Sincelejo, I saw children with the rusty orange hair and cloudy eyes that signaled extreme vitamin deficiency. Nearly all the children had vision problems, and many were blind. Paramilitary violence had driven them from their towns, and they were living in shacks on the outskirts of town. The Colombian Mennonite Church and the Catholic Church had joined together to give this community hope and assistance. But when I was there, the resources were few and the need was great. In February 2001, and just this year in March, I went to Soacha on the outskirts of Bogota. One of our panelists today, Marco Alberto Romero, the president of CODES, was with me. What shocked me most was how nothing much had changed over the past 4 years for these people. Still a lack of schools, so a lot of these children didn't have access to public education. A challenge with regard to water. In fact, the water that these poor people had to purchase was more expensive than the water we purchase here in the United States Capitol. The other reality was that the armed actors, the paramilitaries and the FARC, routinely would go in and out of these internally displaced communities, oftentimes trying to recruit young children to join their forces. After leaving the community, we drove down into the municipality of Soacha and attended part of a meeting with the Human Rights Ombudsman of Soacha, which is struggling to provide some services to the displaced, since the federal government, the Uribe government, provides them with almost nothing. The burden of dealing with Colombia's IDPs with this humanitarian crisis is falling almost completely on the shoulders of local governments, religious groups, and NGOs, as I think our panelists will address today. This is a problem, quite frankly, that needs to be front and center in our discussions and our deliberations in the United States Congress, and how we formulate a future plan Colombia, and how we talk about the potential free trade agreement.